fun day, and I'm excited for some church today, and I hope you are too. In fact, I want you to know that I'm really excited that you're here today, and I'm believing that we're going to hear from God and experience His presence in a way that we desperately need today. My name is Damaris, and I'm going to be your online host for the day. The way the rest of this experience is going to work is that we're going to hang out for just a few minutes. Then once the service starts, we will sing some songs, and then our lead pastor, Stu Hodges, will share a timely message. And if you're new here today, we would love to know. I don't know how you found out about us, but we're really glad that you're here. In fact, we would love the opportunity to say hi after today. All you have to do is fill out the digital connection card, and someone will be in touch with you this week. And I promise that we won't pester you. We just want a chance to say hi, pray for you, and answer any questions that you might have. Now, I know we talk about this every week, but it's because we know how big of an impact it can make, and that's inviting. Inviting people to church has never been easier with us being online. So if you haven't already, it's time to share this experience. Take just a minute and share this on social media or text a friend to join you online. So share away. And as part of our COVID Care 757.com efforts, we've been able to partner with the American Red Cross to keep their supplies up with so many canceled events. And we have already had 3 successful drives. Our building is large enough to ensure safe social distancing, so we are giving them the space needed to still pull off a blood drive. And we have our final blood drive this Wednesday at our Yorktown campus. So if you're interested in meeting a need by donating blood, head to theredcrossblood.org and enter code WECYT to sign up. Now this next part is for all of our local middle school and high school students. Our student director, Jacob, made an announcement this week that I want to share with you now. So why don't you take a look at this?
What's up, Water's Edge students? This is Jacob Lambert, student director at WEC, coming to you from an undisclosed location here on the peninsula. And man, do I have some big news to share with you. It's a little bit of bad news and a whole lot of good news. So let's do the bad news first. Because of everything going on in this season, unfortunately, we will not be able to go to Crowder's Ridge this summer. I know you're bummed, I'm bummed, our team is bummed, we're all really bummed. It's simple.
But you guys know how we do it at WEC, and we aren't going to let that keep us from having an awesome summer. So, here's the good news.
This summer, we're offering something brand new. It's called Hometowns. Hometowns is a brand new summer experience right here on the peninsula, and we can't wait for you to be a part of it. From Yorktown to Newport News, from Smithfield to Williamsburg, from Hampton to Toano, wherever you live, you can be a part of Hometowns.
Each day, you'll participate in some of the activities on your own,
some of the activities as a group,
and then every evening we'll come together at the Yorktown campus for incredible worship
and a practical message.
You're not going to want to miss out on Hometowns. We're going to be sharing some more details on how to register and what that week is going to look like soon. But in the meantime, go ahead and be getting hyped for Hometowns.
That's it for now, but not for the whole summer. So before I go, remember a few things. Wear sunscreen, hydrate or die. Limit your screen time. Only you can prevent forest fires. Respect your parents. Buckle up. Hugs, not drugs. And this is gonna be the best summer ever!
Well, that looks like fun. Okay, I have one more announcement for our local church. As Pastor Stu has been saying, we want to be wise, we want to be safe, but we want to be together. And there's nothing in the world quite like the church gathering together on mission for Jesus. So we are making plans right now for those of you who are local to a physical Water's Edge campus and who are ready to return and not in a high-risk category to worship together very soon. In fact, Pastor Stu will be making an announcement today during his message, so make sure that you stay until the very end. In the meantime, it's time to get ready for a great service. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I hope that you enjoy our Water's Edge experience.
online or other here in the room, let's stand and worship. He led me out of the desert, brought me into his streams, river of living water, turned my bitter into sweet, all my burdens are lifted, took the shackles on my feet. There's no sound louder than the captive set free. So let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Sing of his promises evermore. Pour out your thankfulness, let it overflow. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so. There's joy in the morning, springing up in my soul. There's life worth living, 'cause he calls me his own. There's a hallelujah after sweet victory. There's no sound louder than a captive set free. No, there's no sound louder than a captive set free. So let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Sing of his promises evermore. Pour out your thankfulness, let it overflow. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Let's sing this out. You are my deliverer, the freedom I'm living in. You are my deliverer, you are my promised land. You are my deliverer, the freedom I'm living in. You are my deliverer, you are my promised land. Oh, you are my deliverer, the freedom I'm living in. You are my deliverer, you are my promised land. You are my deliverer, the freedom I'm living in. You are my deliverer, you are my promised land. So let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Sing of his promises evermore. Pour out your thankfulness, let it overflow. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Pour out your thankfulness, let it overflow. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so. You're my deliverer. You're my deliverer.
Well, it's already been a great start to the service. My name is Damaris, and I hope that you're already enjoying your Water's Edge experience. Why don't you do me a favor and go ahead and tell me where you're joining from in the chat. We love seeing where our online community is streaming from. And I know that we have a group of people who watch with us from Virginia Beach every week, and military families overseas who join us online each week. And really just people from all over the country. So let us know in the chat where you are joining from. And if this is your first time visiting us online, welcome. We are so glad that you've decided to join us. In fact, we would love the opportunity to connect with you after today's service. All you have to do is fill out the digital connection card and someone will be in touch with you. Okay, for those of you that are local to one of our campuses, we will be opening the doors of 2 of our campuses very soon. As our lead pastor has said, we want to be safe, we want to be wise, and we want to be together. So make sure that you're following us on social media, or you can download our app for notifications so you can hear the latest updates on reopening. But if you aren't local or not ready to come back to a physical campus anytime soon, don't worry. We are committed to you as our online community, and we will continue to live stream our services each and every week. Well, it's time to head back into the service. But before we do that, I want to take just a minute to encourage you to set the atmosphere. What do I mean by that? I mean clear away distractions and lean into God's presence. Wherever we are watching from today, it can be a place of worship. So crank up the music or stand to your feet. Do whatever you need to do to really engage in this next worship song and welcome the Spirit of the living God.
I don't wanna be afraid. I don't wanna be afraid. I don't wanna feel the storm just because I hear it roar. I don't wanna feel the storm. I don't wanna feel the storm. Peace be still, say the word and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Oh, peace be still, you are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. Oh, I'm not gonna be afraid, 'cause these waves are only waves. I'm not gonna be afraid. I'm not gonna be afraid. I'm not gonna fear the storm. You are greater than its roar. I'm not gonna fear the storm. Oh, I'm not gonna fear at all. Yeah. Oh, peace be still. Say the word and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Oh, peace be still. You are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. Oh, peace, peace over me. Oh, Jesus, let your peace come down on us. Oh, God, let faith rise up. Oh, heart, believe. Let faith rise up in me. Let faith rise up. Oh, heart, believe. Let faith rise up in me. Let faith rise up. Oh, heart, believe. Let faith rise up in me. And let faith rise up. Oh, heart, believe it. Let faith rise up in me. Oh, peace be still. Say the word. till I'm dancing in the deep. Oh, peace, be still. You are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. Oh, peace, peace over me. Trust the voice that speaks. Oh, peace, peace, Lord, over me. Yeah. Oh, peace, peace, Jesus, over me. And over your families and literally into every situation that you face. I speak God's peace over you today. I speak it over our cities. I speak God's peace over the racial tension that we have faced over these last number of days. And we're believing that God's peace is coming, not only into your life, not only into our cities, but God's peace is coming all around the world, and we're a part of that. And I just want to say that to you today, that as we have kind of walked this journey over these last number of days, watching protest and declaring that Black lives do matter, we believe that. As we've walked this journey, we know this, that we have a part to play in delivering God's peace in the world around us. And I want you to know that your church is committed to playing a part in that journey. And we're so thankful today for the peace of God in our lives. Hey, we're joined today by some friends in the room, everybody. It feels so good. It feels so good. And we're thrilled you're here. If you're live in the room, you can be seated. And if you're joining us somewhere from around the world, please introduce yourself. Tell us in the chat window who you are, where you're joining us from today. We've opened our buildings for the very first time to some volunteers, and a small number of volunteers have joined our staff here together today. And of course, the band is back, joining me on stage once again, and I'm so thrilled that you guys are joining us as well. I was in the chat just before coming out on stage. I saw Ohio, I saw Florida, and this is my favorite. I saw Australia, which actually is a day ahead of us, I think. So that's pretty awesome. And wherever you're joining us from, whether it's here in the room or in your living room, on your back patio, on a boat, I have tried for the last 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, to get an invite on somebody's boat. Because I know people are streaming us on the boat, Andrew. They're watching on the boat. And yet,
nobody's invited me, okay? And I don't know if that's because they don't want to vote with the preacher or what. I don't know why. But wherever you're joining us from, welcome to you. We're thrilled you're here. And I got really good news for those of you who are local to our Newport News or our Yorktown campuses, and that is you're invited back next Sunday, everybody. Next Sunday, we want you back in our buildings. And you'll get a lot more details on that invitation coming this week. But we really do believe it's time. We believe there's never been a time where we need to be together more than right now. And so Newport News and Yorktown campuses will be opened for business next Sunday. And we're going to be looking for you. And I can tell you this, it'll be cleaner than your house, all right? All right, I'm telling you, and it'll be safer than Lowe's, okay? And you've been to your house and you've been to Lowe's, okay? So you can come to church, and we're still working on plans to open our Williamsburg campus back up. You'll get details about that as soon as we know. And for those of you who aren't local, who aren't quite ready maybe to come back, if you are local, don't worry. We're going to be coming right into your living room again next week, just like this, live and online. Well, it's time to get to work, everybody. We're in part 4 of a series we're affectionately calling The New Now. We're calling it The New Now because, because the new normal is highly overrated, all right? Normal is not the goal. Normal is not our pursuit. Normal is not what we want. Instead, we've stepped into a new season that we're calling the new now. The new now. Do y'all like the new now? Like the time period of the new now, like what we're living in right now, the new now. If you're not sure. I know, Rob, you're not sure. I'm not sure either. If you're let me talk to the people at home for just a minute. Give me a thumbs up emoji or a thumbs down. We'll take a little vote. If you like the new now, this new season we're in, thumbs up or thumbs. In the room, you can play along. Thumbs up or thumbs down. I actually think most of us are probably over it by now. Honestly, I'm just saying most of us are probably over quarantine, social distancing, face masks, washing our hands, hand sanitizer. We're over working from home. It was fun for 2 weeks, but it's old now. We're over our kids being home. Hello. We're way over that, right? We're over it, most of us. I know that's not true of everybody, and maybe depending on where you're watching from somewhere in the world, maybe you're nowhere near being over it. Maybe you're kind of like in the slam middle of it. But wherever you are and however this season seems to be setting with you, what I'm trying to help you learn in this season is to embrace it, to embrace the new now. I'm trying to help you get everything you can from now so you're ready for later. Now and later. Makes me think of that candy, now and later. Now, did you like the candy now and later? I think they named it now and later because it's good both now and later, right? That's how they made the candy. You put it in your mouth, and it tastes like watermelon the moment you put it in your mouth, and then 3 minutes later, it still tastes like watermelon. That's how they made it. It's both good now and later. And I want that same thing for your life. I want your life to be good both in the now and in the later. I want you to come through this season and be good, like be okay, like to grow through it and get stronger because of it. I want you to learn some things through this season in the now. I want you to come through now and be better for it later. And so we're trying to learn how to do that by embracing the new now, this moment you're in, right here. The moment that you've been wishing would end, the moment that you've been in a hurry to get out of. It's the new now. And that little title is actually inspired by a theme verse, a verse in Scripture written by an Old Testament prophet, one of my favorites. His name is Isaiah, and Isaiah speaking on behalf of God. And we've visited this theme verse all series long, and we're going to visit it one more time today. Before we do, though, a little special treat, all right? You ready? You ready? Can somebody bring out a mic for me? And okay, so I don't often like go off the cuff or anything, but last week in my message, I was feeling it. Y'all, I was feeling it. I was in the moment. The band was, they were a lot looser than they are today. I don't know. Y'all seem uptight today. They were like flowing with me. They were in the flow. And Andrew was giving me these googly eyes. Like he was really into the message. He was like googly eyeing me. And it was awesome. And I caught it out of the corner of my eye as I got ready to read the theme verse. And when I did, I had this brilliant idea. And I challenged Andrew to memorize the verse and quote it back to us today. And then I felt bad about it. And so I didn't want that to be like a requirement I was putting on Andrew as his boss to a staff member. And so I put it to audience vote. And if you were at home last week, you got to vote on whether or not Andrew should memorize the theme verse and recite it for us from memory today. And it was an overwhelming, Andrew, it was an overwhelming yes. Okay, so this is people's choice. Okay, the people want to hear from you. So here's what we're gonna turn you around. Okay, we're gonna turn you around so you cannot see the screens. And there's no pressure in this moment, but it is God's word. Okay, there's no pressure in this moment. Now we're gonna put the verse up for the people at home so they can all see it. But this is your opportunity, Andrew, to shine like Vacation Bible School 7th grade Bible drill. All right, you got it? Isaiah 43:19. This is our theme verse for the series. Give it to us from memory.
All right. Isaiah 43:19. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland.
Oh, come on. Come on. There it is. There it is. That's the theme verse for the series, and I'm so proud of you. You did so good. I don't know how long you worked on it this week, but I think it's awesome. Now that word is hidden in your heart, and that really was the verse that inspired the big idea, the new now, because God's doing a new thing. He's doing it for you. He's doing it in you. He's doing it all around you. He's even doing it with you. But you got to be in a position in the season to stop long enough to see it and to receive it and even to embrace it. You got to embrace the new now. I'm trying to help you do that all series long. Last week we got really practical, and I actually gave you some application questions for the new now. I gave you some questions to make the most of the new now. I actually titled it How to Receive the Payment in the Pandemic. We're in a pandemic. I taught you last week how to receive the payment in it, and I gave you a bunch of questions. Did you guys work through the no lying in church, all right? Did you work through the questions? You did not. I can see it on your face. You did not. You didn't either, Brandon. Okay, great. This is perfect. Did anybody in the audience work through any of the questions at home? Did you work? I preached that sermon for nothing. Is that what you're telling me? I hope you'll go back and watch the sermon if you didn't work through the questions, because one of the questions I asked you last week was, what has the new now exposed in your life? What has been exposed in your life? Because crisis is a magnifier. Did you know that? It's a magnifier. It shines a light on things that maybe are already cracked. It intensifies things that you maybe are already struggling with, that perhaps you already have a problem with. Crisis is a magnifier, and my guess is that if you were to stop long enough to really think about it, this crisis has exposed some things. This pandemic has exposed some areas in your life that you need to work on in the new now so that you're ready for what God wants to do later. I'll pick on myself before I pick on you, all right? I'll pick on myself first, okay? One of the things that this crisis has exposed are some bad health habits in my life. I've gained some weight during quarantine. Can you tell? You can't tell? Yeah, it's because I pay your salary. You liar. Okay, you can't tell. I know you can tell. And if you're at home, you can really tell. I'll just say this, though. The camera puts on 10 pounds. So if I look fat on your big screen, I look skinnier in person. All right? So it's exposed something in my life. Some bad eating habits and some minimal workout routines. That's what is exposed. And it wasn't like those were new things. No, those were things that were already existing, but in crisis, it got magnified. It got bigger. The spotlight showed the issue because of crisis. I wonder for you, what is this crisis exposed? What is the pandemic shined a light on? What is it that you're seeing now that had some cracks in it? Some cracks in it earlier because you got to work on it in the new now. Because you don't want to carry that into the next season of your life. I don't want to carry my love for Bluebell ice cream into the next season. You understand what I was like the next season is guns out, sun's out season, right? I mean, the next season is dad bod season. Are you following me? The next season, I don't want to carry old habits that have been exposed in a new now into the next season of my life, and I don't want you to either. So what is it exposed for you? Maybe it's exposed some weaknesses in your parenting. You're surrounded by your kids now, and it's kind of shown a light on it, like, you've got some gaps in your parenting. Maybe it's exposed some things about the amount of time you spend on the internet, or about your spending, some things about your finances. Maybe it's exposed some things about your relationships. Maybe it's exposed some things about your marriage. The crisis is a magnifier, and it's magnified some problems. We've got to learn to work on those in the new now. One of the areas that I think probably has been exposed more than any other for most of us in this season is our emotional health. Our emotional health. My guess is that quarantine has not been kind to you emotionally. That COVID-19 and the season we find ourselves in has probably weighed you down emotionally. Now maybe that's not true of everybody. I was coaching one of our staff members a few weeks ago. They were writing some content, and the assumption that they were making as they wrote this content was that everybody is on the exact same page about how we feel about quarantine. Like the assumption they were making was that this is the darkest, most difficult, most depressing time of all of our lives. And I know for a lot of us, we probably feel that way, but not everybody. In fact, I heard somebody say it like this a while back. They said, for the first time perhaps in our lifetime, we're all in this country and really for most of the world, we're all finding ourselves in the exact same storm. Think about that. We all share COVID-19, coronavirus, quarantine. We all share that in common. But just because we're all in the same storm does not mean we're all in the same boat. Right? Think about that. We're not, hey, there are some people during quarantine that they are on the party barge. Are you following me? Like, this is the time of their life, right? Like there's no stress, there's no worry, there's no concern. They've not been negatively impacted whatsoever by quarantine or by COVID. They don't feel any of the effects. And if that's you, then your emotions probably have not been put under a spotlight yet. But there are some of us, maybe a lot of us, I'm guessing many of you at home, who don't feel like you're on a party barge. You don't feel like you're like sailing through the storm in a yacht. You're not on like the Carnival Fun Ship right now. You're like in a rusty old John boat in the middle of the storm. You feel like you're on a sinking sailboat right now, being tossed about by the waves. And likely what's happened for you during this season is that a big old magnifying glass has been put over your emotional health, the emotional status of your life. And if you feel like that today, like if this has been a dark season for you, a depressing, difficult season for you. If this has been a season where it feels like, gosh, high stress, can't sleep, gotta medicate to get through it kind of season, then I think this message today is really, really going to help you. If you feel like the psalmist David in the Bible felt, this is how he described it. Maybe you can relate. David said, "Save me, O God, for the floodwaters are up to my neck. Deeper and deeper I sink into the mire. I can't find a foothold. I'm in deep water," he says. And look at this. "And the floods overwhelm me. I'm exhausted from crying for help. My throat is parched. My eyes are swollen from weeping, waiting for my God to help me." Do you feel that way? Because if you do, it's okay to say it. David himself said it in the Bible. In fact, I've talked to so many people in this season, and this is how they've described it to me. They said something like, "It's just been a lot." You feel that? It's just been a lot. Or, "It's really hard." I've heard that so many times. It's really hard, or "I'm feeling really sad." Overwhelmed, I think, is a great descriptive word that David used that I think many of us could use as well. And do you see the progression for David? This is how our emotions work. This is how we're wired emotionally. David started and he said this. He said, it started with the floodwaters feeling up to my neck. And then number 2, he said, I can't find a foothold. I'm in deeper and deeper. And then he goes on to say, number 3, I'm overwhelmed. And I think that's the pattern for our emotional health. That we start in a place, but it just gets worse and worse and worse. And my guess is that for a lot of us, 13 or 14 weeks ago when the pandemic started, you already felt like you were in up to your neck, like emotionally. And the storm hadn't even really started yet. But you already felt like, oh my gosh, I'm already in up to my neck, but the storm hadn't even started. And then as week after week and blow after blow came and hardship after hardship started to mount on top of you, you felt like the floodwaters were rising to the point that you couldn't even find a foothold, and now to the point where maybe you feel, like David, overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. Dr. Henry Cloud is a nationally known Christian counselor, psychologist, a best-selling author. He talked about this recently, and he really simplified our emotions into 3 different stages. And I want to walk you through these 3 stages of emotional despair. See if you can relate. See if you can relate to these 3 stages. Dr. Cloud said it begins for a lot of us in stage number 1, where we experience shock. Something emotionally happens, and it shocks our system. So you lose a loved one, or you get laid off, or you have a fight with your spouse, or we have a national pandemic, or we see George Floyd murdered by a police officer, or we watch riots on the news. And emotionally, here's what happens. It jolts our system. It shocks us. And for a lot of us during the last 14 weeks, it hasn't just been one thing. It's been one thing and then another and then another and then another. And some of you would be like, and another and another and another. And we experience shock, and it's starting to wear on you emotionally. And if you don't have a way to process that, or a way to work through that, or a way to handle it and deal with it, then you'll pretty quickly move from shock to the second stage that Dr. Cloud talks about. He says the second stage of our emotional despair is this, that we then feel sorrow. So we experience a shock, but then we feel sorrow. And sorrow is an emotion that you feel because of something you've lost. So you lost a graduation ceremony, or you lost a relationship, or you lost financially, or you lost a job, or you lost a sense of security. You lost something, and so you begin to feel sorrow. And by the way, that's natural. That's normal. And to some extent, listen, that can even be healthy. Let me just say that to you. You can be emotionally healthy and feel sorrow. But let me tell you what the enemy wants to do with what you feel. When you feel sorrow, the enemy wants to use it to overwhelm you with sorrow. And that's where our emotions get unhealthy. That's where you start to feel like the floodwaters have risen so high now that they've overwhelmed you, and you're overwhelmed by them. And that's where the third stage of emotional despair comes into play. It starts with shock, it moves to sorrow, and then number 3, we begin to struggle. And this is where a lot of us, I think, are. After 13 or 14 weeks of a pandemic, this is where a lot of us are after 8 or 9 nights of protests. This is where a lot of us are with our anxiety hitting a whole new high, is we begin to struggle. You're not in a good place with your emotions. The crisis has magnified your emotional health, and it feels dark. And you start to turn to some coping mechanisms, like maybe you're drinking now more than you should. Or maybe you're like turning to images online, or maybe you're turning to online shopping just to get some retail therapy, or maybe you're like binge watching hours and hours and hours of Netflix just to escape from the reality of what you really feel. Or maybe you're sleeping a lot. Maybe you're not laughing anymore. I don't know. You're struggling, and the pandemic is shining a spotlight now on your emotional health. You feel overwhelmed by anxiety. The fuse on your temper is really short. You find yourself flying off the handle a lot quicker than you used to. And if you could be like really honest today, like incredibly honest, you could trace these 3 stages of emotional despair over the last 13 or 14 weeks: shock, sorrow, and now struggle. And if that's you today, I want to help you. I want to help you take what you're experiencing and work on your emotional health in the new now. And let me just say this may not be the only help you need. You might need some time with a professional Christian counselor. You might need some medication prescribed to get through this season. That's not for me to say. I just know this, that I believe today's conversation can be a starting point for a healthier version of who you are emotionally. In fact, I think that's one of the greatest gifts the pandemic can give you. One of the greatest gifts quarantine can offer to you is a healthier version of yourself. I'll say it to you like this, that the new now is an emotionally healthy new you. That what God wants for you on the other side of quarantine, on the other side of COVID-19, is an emotionally healthy you, and it starts now. It starts now. You don't have to be shook by the next storm. You don't have to be overwhelmed by your sorrow. You don't have to struggle in your emotional state. You can actually be emotionally healthy. And we're going to work on it for a few minutes today. I want to build this message really around a metaphor that Jesus used in Scripture, and I'm going to refer back to this teaching from Dr. Cloud, and also one of my favorite pastors, Pastor Chris Hodges, taught on emotional health recently, and really helped me wrap my head around this idea. One of Jesus' most famous sermons is called the Sermon on the Mount. You're probably familiar with it, and at the end of that sermon, Jesus uses a really, I think, just a really powerful metaphor. This is kind of his finale to his sermon. I want to show it to you. Andrew, would you like to quote this portion of? I'm kidding. No, I'll just read it. Okay, therefore, it says, therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and, look at this, puts them into practice, and that's what we're learning to do today as we get really practical in this sermon, is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. Now, another translation says is like a wise man whose foundation is unshakable. Like unshakable. You won't be shook. It's unshakable. And look at this. It says the rain came down and the streams rose and the winds blew. And if Jesus were telling this story today, he would probably say, and the coronavirus spread and the pandemic happened and the city shut down and your kids were home. Okay? That's what Jesus would say. And look at this. And beat against that house because some of your kids are tearing up your house, right? And yet Jesus said this, it did not fall. Why? Because it had its foundation on the rock. On the rock. I looked all around to try to find a rock emoji that you could put in the chat window if you're watching right now, because I want you to remember the rock. Jesus said, your foundation needs to be firm and steady, built on the rock. And there's so many different ways that this little story can be applied to our lives, so many different ways that it can be applied to your life and mine. But I want to focus it in on our emotional health today. Dr. Cloud actually said that our emotions are very much built like a house, like a house. And so using that metaphor, I want to show you how you can build an emotionally strong house in the new now, because in the new now, it's a healthy version of you. And here's where it starts. It all begins with the foundation. Jesus said the foundation's got to be firm. It's got to be steady. It's got to be secure. And so if you're going to build an emotionally stable house, here's where it starts. It starts with a foundation, which are your relationships and your connectedness. That's what builds the emotional foundation of your house. Relationships and connectedness. And you can't even build the rest of the house if you've got a shaky foundation, if you've got shaky relationships and shaky connections with others. And what do I mean by that? Here's what I mean. I think that for a strong emotional house, you need to spend time every day with God and with others. To work on relationships and connectedness, spend time every day with God and with others. What does that look like? Well, it could look like as simple as 10 or 15 minutes to start your day. Put on a little worship music in the background, subscribe to our Water's Edge web notes, read a verse of scripture or two, and talk to God to start your day. That's what it could look like every day, building the foundation of your relationship with God and building your relationship with others as well. Because listen, you need other people in your life. That's one of the reasons that this season has been so difficult for so many of us emotionally. Is that you've found yourself separated from the relationships. You're not going to work to see your friends at the office. You're not going out on the weekends to hang out with friends and have them over for cookouts. You're not coming to physical gatherings in our buildings to see people. It's been challenging. It's been difficult for you emotionally. And that's why in this season, you got to take the initiative to build a firm foundation. Time with God and time with others. By the way, if you're wondering, where in the world do I meet people that are going in the same direction I'm going that can help me build a firm foundation emotionally? And I'll say it to you like this: the best place to meet them is right here at Water's Edge Church, because they're the best people on the planet, y'all. Just so you know, the best people on the planet. And so listen, here's the opportunity. Join a virtual group. Get to know people. And then as groups start to get back together, you can become a part of those as well. The foundation for your emotional health are your relationships with God and with others. Now, after you build the foundation, you're going to frame up the house. Can you picture it? Frame it up. And so here's the second part of your house. It's your structure, and your structure are your purpose and your routines. Your purpose and your routines. And again, this is where the pandemic for a lot of us has really hurt us, because we've lost our purpose and we've jacked up our routines. Come on, it's true. Think about it. If your teenager is struggling right now emotionally, it's quite probable that it's because they're not in school, so they don't wake up on time, and so they don't produce anything throughout the day, And they only think about themselves, and they stay up until all hours of the night doing God knows what. You certainly don't. And then you wonder, why do they act out? It's because they've lost their purpose, and they have no routine. And it's really easy to see in your teenagers and pick on them, but what about you? Come on. What about you? You're not going to work on the same schedule you used to. You're not coaching the ball team like you used to. You're not volunteering at the organization like you used to. You're not involved in church like you used to. And what's happened is you've lost your purpose, and your sense of routine has fallen apart around you. Let me tell you about Hazel Todd. Let me tell you about her. Hazel Todd has a purpose. Her purpose is to pray for others. And Hazel Todd has a routine. Her routine is to pray for others while she cooks for them. Huh? This is an awesome woman. Hazel Todd, for about the first 15 years of our church, spent every Saturday praying for our church. Every Saturday, praying for us. And then she would do it while she was cooking for us. And then on Sundays, she would bring in these fat-free homemade cinnamon rolls. Not fat-free, but homemade cinnamon rolls. And she would serve them to all of our volunteers on Sunday. That's how you know that she was praying for you, because she cooked for you. And about a year and a half ago, Hazel Todd moved away. But do you know what got delivered by the overnight U.S. Postal Service to my house last Saturday? Hazel Todd cinnamon rolls. Come on, somebody. And they were awesome. And here's what I knew in that moment. I'm like, Hazel Todd is praying for me. She's working out her purpose, and she's practicing her routine. And let me tell you, you want to know emotional health? Look at Hazel Todd. I'm just saying, there's a way to find a purpose, and through that purpose, work out your routine. So what is it for you? Maybe it's writing letters to the men at Indian Creek. We have a team of people that do that. Did you know that? Maybe it's serving with our online campus. We have a team of people that do that. Maybe it's mowing the grass for an elderly neighbor. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's doing a family Bible study. Find a purpose and set some routines around your purpose. And I'm telling you, your emotional health will start to build with structure. In fact, if you're struggling emotionally, make it your goal not to go to bed until you've encouraged somebody, until you've prayed for somebody, until you've served somebody. And those three things in and of themselves will help you sleep better. Because I really do believe this. I really do believe the greatest remedy for sadness is service. Find a purpose in the pain, build a routine around it, and watch and see as the structure of your life builds. Now, we got to finish up our house, y'all. We got the foundation. It's relationships and connectedness. We got the structure. It's our purpose and our routines, and you were made on purpose for a purpose. You have a purpose from God. And listen, God didn't create you for chaos. He created you for order. So you need some routine in your life. And then we got to move into the house. And that's the third stage of building our emotional, healthy house. It's this. It's beautifying it, which comes from trust and self-control. Trust and self-control. Now, you might be thinking, well, those seem like contradictory statements, but actually they aren't for an emotionally healthy person. Emotionally healthy people know how to live in perfect balance with trust and self-control. Because here's what they know. They know to submit to God what I can't control and to change what I can. Submit to God what I can't control and change what I can. So I can't control COVID-19. So I'm not going to sit and stress about it. I'm not going to live in fear over it. I can't control it. So I'm going to submit it to God. There are some things that I can control during COVID-19, like I can control my eating habits. Come on. And so that's what I should be working on, changing and submitting the rest. In fact, I'll tell you that the moments where my emotions have been most out of whack, and I've had some of those moments like you have. I'm talking about moments where my heart's beating fast and my stomach is in knots and it feels like my chest is tightening up. where it feels like the whole world's against me. I've had those moments like you. I'm not preaching this message as an emotional expert. I'm preaching it as someone practicing what I preach. And so the moments where I've been most messed up emotionally, most unhealthy emotionally, have been the moments where I'm trying to control what I have no control over, and where I'm actually ignoring what I do have control over. I just think God has a better way for us to move into the house emotionally that's strong and steady. You got to submit what you can't control, and you got to change what you can. So you can't control what the stock market does, but you can change how you spend your money. You can't control if your kids go back to school in the fall, but you can change how you parent them. You cannot control if a protest turns into a riot, but you can control how well you love your neighbor. You following me? So you're going to submit what you can't control, and you're going to change what you can. And here's what I know. The enemy, the devil, the forces of darkness, they would love nothing more right now than to huff and puff and blow your emotional house down to the ground as we go into a new season of life. The enemy would love for your emotional house to crumble in this season, but God wants your emotional house to stand firm, because an emotionally healthy new you is what God wants to do in the new now. Come on, bow your heads. Close your eyes. Open your hearts. And invite God now to speak to you, to shine a light on your emotions. Father, heal us emotionally. Father, help us to take the necessary steps to move forward emotionally. God, may it begin with a relationship with you and with others. God, may it extend to our purpose and our routines. May it end with submitting, God, to you. Maybe right now in this moment, we need to submit some things to you, to give them up to you. And with your heads bowed and your eyes closed, right where you sit, wherever you are, maybe today you need to say yes to a relationship with Jesus Christ. If that's you, would you just say, Jesus, I want to know you. I want my sin forgiven by you. I want to be made right with God in heaven through you, and I want to live my life for you. Father, thank you for every person saying yes to you today, for all of us today, taking steps emotionally toward a healthier, new us. God, I pray today that we build our lives on a firm foundation, that the rock that is Jesus and his love for us would be the foundation of our lives. Come on, sing it out with us.
Upon your it is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken.
What an incredible day it's been. Hey, if you prayed that prayer at the end with Pastor Stu saying yes to Jesus today, congratulations. I am so happy for you. And this is the best decision that you've ever made. And we would love the opportunity to walk with you as you walk with Jesus. So all you have to do is fill out the digital connection card and let us know that you began a relationship with Jesus today. You know, even though our doors have been closed, we as a church have been busy meeting needs all throughout our community and reaching people all over the world. So I just wanted to take an opportunity to say thank you to those of you that give to our mission. Your giving is making an impact far beyond what you can see. So if you would like to give today, the two easiest ways to give are by texting WECO to the number 77977 or through our website at watersedgechurch.net/give. Thanks for watching with us today. I've enjoyed my time with you. Have a great week, everyone.